Melanin, for the common person, we normally recognize it as the pigment that we find in our skin, in our hair, in our eyes. And that's about all that we see of it. And we basically look at it as just there as being a cosmetic thing. So the layperson really looks at melanin as just a colorant, a pigmentation. But when the scientists look at it, it's a very, very involved, very highly complex, very functional system.
What role did melanin play in the early stages of human development?
Well, if you look at this thing from the known things that are set, scientific facts that are set today, you think of man evolving out of Central Africa. You think of man evolving near the equator, where there's high intensity of heat, lots of free radicals produced, things of that sort. So nature had to come up with a system that would be universal, something that would look at one particular parameter that was detrimental to man existence, and that is heat. Now, how do you protect an individual from heat? And just one aspect of this whole thing is the ability of this polymer to absorb energy. Okay, so it was a protectant as far as all of the harmful energies that was created outside the body, or they were exposed to outside the body. Internally, as man evolved, he was exposed to many bacteria, many viruses, many diseases. And therefore, you would need something that could counteract those things and help this particular species to survive, to perpetuate itself. And you see many chemical and physical properties of melanin that really points toward that particular thing. It's a system, it's a drug, it's a medicine in itself that helps to heal wounds and things of that sort. So in the early development of man, as far as a protection device from external environment as well as internal environment, and then providing the necessary mental, brain power, the mental capabilities to create and build things around him to help with his survival. So you're looking at a chemical and physical viewpoint. You're looking at it from a psychological viewpoint for developing things, and also a state of calmness, a state of being civilized.
Okay.
Melanin comes into the picture.
Okay, would you explain how melanin could protect early human beings from the sun?
First of all, melanin is what scientists call a high energy absorber, or a free radical absorber. Free radicals are energy particles that are searching for things to react with. Most of the time they're higher energy. And the best way that I can demonstrate that is to talk about radiation. There are different types of radiation, different types of energy that's not neutral, that's looking for things to react with. Well, the way that it protects you is that the chemical mechanism, the chemical functional groups that this polymer is composed of actually will reach out and grab that energy and neutralize it and make that energy a part of the whole structure. And then in turn, use that energy for something that's necessary in the body. So what you have in essence is you've taken something that was harmful, whether it's exterior or interior, and you've changed the energy in form so it can be used as an asset for the system.
Okay, so when the rays hits that skin, melanin-coated skin, what does that melanin do with those rays? Does it scatter it, or what happens?
Well, if you want to just speak of UV light,
okay,
regular ultraviolet, ultraviolet light, and we get that.
I told you before we started this that I'm going to be stopping you quite a bit to define and redefine technical terms.
Right.
Most people probably would say that we shouldn't be doing this kind of technical program, but I'm going to stretch, and I'm going to try to insist that our viewing audience stretch just a little bit.
Right.
But go ahead.
Okay, let's take ultraviolet light. It's a component of sunlight, and it's the thing that most people think of or know about when people talk about sunburns, when people talk about aging. Now, the black skin is composed of a chemical that is black because it's highly efficient. This black chemical is melanin. This particular chemical will pick up harmful ultraviolet radiation, whether it's UVA, UVB, or UVC. Now, ultraviolet is divided into 3 different regions. The UVB is the most harmful. And it actually picks up this energy, and through various, what we call, well, the correct name for it is resonance. But what it actually does is homogenize the energy across the entire structure, and then sometimes share that energy with molecules of melanin that's adjacent to the one that picked it up. So you have a dispersion of energy across the molecule as well as across your entire body.
Which does what, in effect? The end result being?
The end result is that this energy, which is normally harmful, is captured, changed in form, and then gradually used in the body or gradually dissipated in a manner that the body could handle it. Otherwise, the DNA that's in the cell would be ripped apart, and the DNA would drain out, and therefore you would have degradation, aging of the skin.
Okay, well, let me step back for a minute and let you, in your own way, talk about melanin.
Okay, well, first of all, melanin is a very, very complex issue. It encompasses all professions. I'm an organic chemist. Professional people like electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, lawyers, doctors, all of these professions should get involved to try to see how this particular chemical affects all areas. And in that way, we'll be able to understand the use of this thing more. Now, melanin being so diverse, I can only cover a few subjects.
Okay.
And in covering these subjects, I'll only be able to skim the surface as far as information is concerned. But one of the key things that we like to bring out is that we're pushing the key to knowledge, the key to brain power, as one of the final physical properties or final properties that melanin offers the body, as well as this protective function. Okay, so we are looking at this thing, and it's showing properties that it's the key to memory, the key to knowledge, that sort of thing. We want to push that, as well as it offering physical assets, such as what you find in our athletes. And if you notice here, we have the chemical structure of a melanin. This is not the only melanin. This is a melanin.
How many are there?
That has not been defined.
Okay.
There are various types, and it's biochemists and chemists around the world now who are doing research on melanin. They are trying to elucidate the structure. The actual structure is not known, but this is what is one of the structures that's sort of like used as a guideline. So when individuals look at this structure, they can get an idea of how complex this molecule is. But we're showing it here in the brain to let individuals know that it's saturated throughout the brain in major functional sites, major functional regions, as well as in organs throughout the entire body. And the skin being the one that's the most visible, we see it all the time, the eyes, the hair. Okay, that's what we've concentrated on the most. However, if you go into the body and use certain analytical techniques, you can actually see that there's melanin in various sites throughout the body, and key sites that have been identified as being highly functional areas. Then the question asks, why is it there? Why is it in major areas in the body? You see? And so these are the things that scientists are asking today, and these are the things that has been researched in the last 20 years, because this thing has just really gained momentum. Even though we have information, and you can search chemical abstracts, you can go back to biological abstracts, you can search lots of the cumulative index in the medical journals,